Good evening, I'm Jane Smith, and this is Court Climate News. Tonight, we bring you the latest updates on the tragic death of Adam Johnson, the professional ice hockey player who died after his neck was cut by a skate blade during a game in England last month. Johnson, who was 29 years old, was playing for the Nottingham Panthers against the Sheffield Steelers in the EIHL, a British ice hockey league, on October 28, 2023. He was involved in a collision with another player and fell to the ice, where his neck was slashed by the skate blade of a third player. He was rushed to the hospital but could not survive the injury. Johnson's family, who had buried him in his native Minnesota a week before the arrest, said they were glad that the police were being diligent and that they would have to wait and see what happens. On November 14, 2023, South Yorkshire Police announced that they had arrested a man on suspicion of manslaughter in connection with Johnson's death. The man, who was not named by the police, was released on bail the next day as the investigation continued. The police said they had consulted with highly specialized experts and the Health and Safety Department at Sheffield City Council to determine the circumstances of Johnson's death. They also asked the public to refrain from comment and speculation over the incident. Some news sources have speculated that the man is Matt Petgrave, the Sheffield Steelers defenseman whose skate blade cut Johnson's neck during the game. However, this has not been confirmed by the police. We will keep you updated on this developing story as more information becomes available. Today we have on the phone a former European hockey player who returned from Europe and started his career in law enforcement. He served his department for 12 years with 1 year as a crime scene investigator. He has testified in several cases he investigated. Thank you, Matt, for being here with us.
Thank you, Jane, for inviting me on the show.
First, can you give me your initial reaction to this news?
Yeah, I was initially just shocked the fact that someone passed away during a hockey game. It's something that you don't ever expect. Um, it it really saddens the hockey community because of a loss of life. And with the news that South Yorkshire Police made the arrest for manslaughter, um, leads me to believe that there's at least some hint of a deliberate act. I've reviewed the replay a couple of times, and from what I can see is that the the leg was not was not brought up or kicked up while in a falling motion. It looked like the defenseman had lost his coverage and was trying to leg whip um, the forward coming across the blue line, which you know is not uncommon to try to stop an opposing player from entering your offensive zone or your defensive zone. I'm sorry. Um, and so, was there an intent to maim, hurt, or what resulted? No, absolutely not. I don't really believe there was any intention whatsoever. But it is a kind of a dangerous move that should never ever happen on the ice.
What are the main causes and risk factors of neck injuries in ice hockey?
Well, as you can see here, one of the biggest causes is the skate blade. Of course, the neck is probably the most exposed part of a hockey player's body. Um, that is obviously first and foremost. We need to mitigate that as much as possible. Also, another risk factor that ice hockey players face is obviously the stick. The stick, then followed by just some of the collisions that happen in ice hockey. It doesn't matter the level of sport; you will always have collisions based on just the pure speed of the sport.
How common and preventable are skate blade injuries in ice hockey?
They're very preventable. They do make neck guards for all players. It's a simple piece of Kevlar material that goes around the neck. I think that's something that should be mandatory, like ice hockey pants and like uh, cup protection and stuff like that, as well as helmets.
What are the best practices and guidelines for using protective neck guards in ice hockey?
I believe the best thing would be to make it mandatory throughout the whole sport, from peewees, juniors, under 18, non-pro level, pro level, semi-pro level. Doesn't matter. It just needs to be a mandatory part of the sport. I think this would help mitigate those type of injuries.
What are the legal and ethical implications of manslaughter charges in cases of accidental death in sports?
Well, obviously, it has shocked the community, the hockey community in this one. There have been several instances in ice hockey where charges have been brought about um, in ice hockey. I think it is holding players accountable for their actions. But with ice hockey being such a fast and possibly dangerous sport, it definitely sends shockwaves through it. Um, in this investigation, they'll probably find that there was no intention as far uh, as the action, um, but at the same time, there needs to be swift action as far as any type of unnecessary dangerous acts. I mean, sports just overall are people are very competitive. Going from soccer to football to basketball, um, it's always going to impact the sport in some way, shape, or form. And the only way I can say that this may be helpful is if the sport actually changes. And again, I really feel that neck guards are something that can can prevent loss of life and grievous injury. Um, Even on accident, there was a goalie not too long ago that had his back of his leg cut, bled profusely. Um, they were able to save his life, um, but things like that. They have skate proof underwear that players can wear and stuff like that. It's just being more safety conscious is going to be very important, and hopefully, a tragedy like this improves the sport for all.
Thank you, Matt, for joining us today and sharing your thoughts on this tragic incident.
Thank you, Jane. I appreciate you having me on the show.
Thank you all for joining us today. I'm Jane Smith with Court Climate News. Have a good night.